It feels like a drum circle-y.
Yeah, we're here at the spooky ghost house with Dallas James Nelson here. Welcome, Dallas James Nelson. Thank you for coming out and doing the podcast with me. I specifically wanted you on the podcast because I wanted to. I've been doing these guessing who's going to win the roast battles, and then I ask them, well, who's their favorite new comic, and then at the end I ask them who's their favorite comic. Period. Doesn't have to be the best comic in Pensacola. It's just who their favorite is. And you, sir, have been named like 3 times on the podcast as being people's like favorite comic. Absolutely, dude. Yeah.
That's super. Oh no, that's so sweet of them.
Yeah. And I'm glad. I'm just thankful you came on the podcast. This is Pensacola's favorite comic. That's what I'm telling you, Dallas James Nelson. He's here to judge our roast battle, the Talk to the Moon comedy show, where he's going to be judging. Also just wanted to see what shows you got coming up as well.
Unfortunately, this year I don't have any shows lined up. I tapped out. I've been doing full-time job and student and 2 jobs.
Damn. So you have to come to a Pensacola show to see him. So come out to Pensacola.
I do have one last show of the year as I'm going to Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Ooh, are you doing that strip club place or what?
No, it's a hotel. It's ran by I don't know if you remember Father Sailor Hoosier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his show.
Yeah.
And so it's 3 of us, and we're all like headline levels. So it's just 3 of us doing about 30 minutes apiece.
Perfect.
So
dude.
I'm kind of excited about the show.
See, I love shows because I did this show in Alabama and I love the format. I only got to do it one time, but I'm trying to do it again. It's getting headliners doing just 20-minute sets.
Oh yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, unless you have a special, I really think 20 minutes is perfect for anybody that doesn't have like tags where like if you haven't done a full set, I don't know, somewhere.
So I feel like as far as like the timepieces go, when you go through, right, like I started out comedy because I was like a competition guy in Jacksonville. Like I loved being like a 5-minute comic or a 10-minute comic. I loved that like style that was like bam, 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 you know, that laugh every 15 seconds. But when you go into like 20, and then what I find, right, like from like a time perspective, and this is my personal opinion, anything that's a solo act past 20 minutes, the real kind of like talent there and the real challenge is trying to keep that act feel shorter than it actually is.
Yeah.
You know, and when you get past 20 minutes, that's when you have to start orienting your actual storytelling and you have to make your sets more cohesive. Because part of like, for me as a comic, I try to write from these different sections of myself. And then when you get like a longer form set, so what I find is that you have to figure out what the audience wants to talk about. And I think that actually takes roughly like a good solid 17 to 20 minutes to really figure out what an audience wants, because you're including kind of the warm-up, the getting used to you, the introduction, and then you're like, okay, this is what you want. You hone in, and then you start really hammering that. So I think when you get to that, like past that 20 minutes, I feel like is like such a great business card. Like I feel like somebody knows who you are at 20 minutes, but I feel like 30 minutes, and maybe this is just kind of like a personal opinion, I feel like 30 minutes, that's why it's such like the famous special amount of time, you know what I mean? Like that's the time it takes to be like, all right, you're gonna remember how I made you feel.
Yeah, 30 minutes, okay. So you like 30-minute sets, that's where you wanna be?
Yeah, I love 30-minute sets. I love, well, I just like, I like meeting people. I like, my favorite thing about comedy is fucking off after I've done well. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you do
the hang afterwards.
No. I hate, if I've done well, I don't want to talk to anyone. Like my favorite thing about comedy is you know you've done bad when people call you brave. And you know you've done great when people say, how do you do it? I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, like if people ask you and tell you, oh, I want to do comedy, that means you've actually done good. If people tell you they're brave, you're brave. I could never do that.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
you
that
guys
just
are
means
awesome, man.
Yeah, that means you just ate a whole dick. That means that
my mind has opened up so much now.
No, if somebody tells you that they want to do comedy after they've seen you do a show, you murdered. Like you genuinely did really good.
I don't know. I've had people come up and tell me they want to do comedy because they thought the people on the show sucked. They were like, hey, they suck so bad, I think I could do this better than them.
I feel like that's kind of, that's true, but I always hear people say that, and usually either those people have like a bone to pick or they're not really that serious about comedy.
Yeah.
You know?
They're here for a year and out kind of thing.
Well, I think art kind of sucks. Like, I love art. Art's great. It's really, like, it's very dumb. It's very childish. It's a scam, you know? You can talk. You can do this. You can make money doing it. So it attracts a lot of people that have kind of that, like, yearning to fix something internally. But, you know, when people do it because they think they can do better than, you know, that's lame. That's nihilistic. That doesn't really have, like, the same juice.
The love of it, yeah.
Well, it doesn't have the same... that dog don't hunt, you know what I mean? Like, if you've got something to prove, then it kind of works. But if you're just there to kind of be nihilistic, it doesn't really work, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I always notice...
When you say be nihilistic, what do you mean?
Well, those guys suck. Nobody else can do... I can totally do better than
Whose voice are you doing right
just some random douchebag. Just some random douchebag. Every guy I've ever met that was like that. Because, like, realistically... when people do bad, 90% of the time, I see people do bad, and that feeling, like, honestly, I've been doing comedy since 2018, right? Outside of the COVID year, which was weird, but, you know, I love bad comedy. Like, I love bad comedy. I enjoy, like, an earnest effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're giving it their best, but they're
just like, they have the swing and the miss, and there's just something about...
I love a comic that keeps swinging, though. You know? Like, they're not just like, oh.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. There's, like, something... Like, everything I do from an artistic standpoint is based off of the idea of understanding I am going to die. Like, I know I'm going to die, you know? Like, so I love whenever somebody does something really absurd, because I feel very less alone in that moment. So whenever I see people say, oh, I could do better than that, and they, like, go and they try to do comedy, there's never really, like, unless they're, like, somebody that was, like, actually, it's different. When guys say that, they're usually actually kind of bad. When women say that, I think because some women have, like, an actual chip on the shoulder of not being listened to, I think that some women can be motivated by that. It's different. And I've seen good women comics be motivated by that. But most guys that are motivated by that are bad. But really, like, after a show, if you murdered, people will come up to you and they'll be like, oh, man, I really want to do this. How do I do this? Like, and if you do bad, that's when people tell you you're brave. And if you do really bad, that's when people tell you that they could... It's kind of like a bell curve, you know what I mean? Like, in the bell curve of, like, mediocre and bad, that's where people will be like, oh, you're brave. But at both ends of the extremes,
it'll motivate people to do comedy.
Either way. I never really thought about that as I was talking and bullshitting. Yeah, it's the bell curve, you know what I mean? It's just like that stupid meme where there's like the hooded guy in the middle of the bell curve and then the smart and stupid guy. They're saying the same thing. It's great, yeah.
That's basically what they're doing. And basically, in those bad comics, they're saying a lot of things the good comics are. They're just not saying it the right way. Or they're saying it, you know, with like ill intent. You know, you can't do comedy and say things that you want to hurt people's feelings. You know, because you think you think it's funny. You know?
First off, I think that I don't think there's any rules to comedy. I don't think either of us are like at a level to even say that. And then second off, I think you can really do everything in comedy as long as you're funny.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you really do want to hurt, like, you know, there's a lot of comics out there that they do hurt people's feelings quite a bit, but they just have like a funny way of saying something really hurtful. Like honestly, I say super hurtful shit all the time, but because I have such a funny Southern gay kind of like happy, cheery voice.
That Southern gay.
Like, ooh, you know, like people kind of like that. I think it's not about what they say, how they say it. It's how they make people feel, right? It's like that stupid Seuss quote. People don't really remember what you say. They remember how you make people feel, right? And so, like for a lot of comics that are bad, when you think about what I think about what comedy is from looking back and reading like Mark Twain and learning about the stump speeches and like learning about like the Borscht Belt Catskill comedians, you know, what I realize is that like the history of comedy, you have like these divergent styles, right? Like you've got this MC style comedy, you've got this storyteller style comedy, you got like this insult roast based comedy. And like there's this kind of part, right? Like a comedian's multiple different parts. You've got like a performer, you've got a joke writer, and then you have like a good joke delivery person. Performance, delivery, there's body language, right? Like I'm a great face guy. Like if you look at like the local scene, right? When you think about like a really strong performer, like think about Olivia, right? Like something that's really incredible to watch when you see like Olivia perform numerous times is that as far as like a comedian in the Gulf Coast goes, she's just insanely reliable to just go anywhere and have the audience laughing. That's bonkers. Like the fact that you can just be like, all right, we're gonna have like, I've seen Olivia do like a clean comedy show at the Elks Lodge, very similar to Gail Fluker on that. And Gail's also very talented in that same way of just being like
doing a good clean comedy.
Well, not even just good clean comedy, just being a good solid performer in that sense. And then when you think about like people who say things funny, right? Like think about Delicia. Like Delicia's, she's so funny. Like, and as far as like a joke writing person goes, I'm not saying she has like a weak joke writing presence. I'm saying that from because I'm a writer, right? So from like a performer standpoint, she has a way of saying things, and that's the joke itself. You know, comics, so when you see like new bad comics, they have no idea, because what they're doing is they're doing what they think is funny. So new comics can be bad in this really exciting and new way. You know, there's something really magical there that if you really pay attention, you'll be like, okay, that person, their timing's off.
Yeah.
Like that person could be really funny if they had like that sense, and
you can see where the joke's going, kind of thing with young comics. It makes it funny. You're like, okay, I get what you're trying to do there, you know?
Yeah, and it's also it teaches you a lot about yourself, and you know, engaging and watching a lot of like, I always watch love open mic comedy, love watching open mic comedy in almost every city I go into, and it's also something really funny, humbling, and so exciting about being a paid comic with their face on the posters and everything, and just absolutely eating a dick in front of strangers. It's so lovely. It's so great.
I ate a dick on the cruise out in Fort Walton. They had like a boat, like a paddle boat thing, I didn't eat a huge bag of dicks, but it was like, it had highs and lows. And when I got done, this old lady found me on the boat. I was going out. I was like, well, that kind of sucked, you know, whatever. But and this kind of worked, that kind of worked. I was taking the good out of what was happening, you know. And she comes up and she goes, just so, hey, I'm a liberal, so I'm pretty open-minded. And but what you said out there was horrible, just horrible. Making fun of Nazis isn't funny. It was horrible. And then she starts walking up these steps that are like leads to a second floor of this boat, and she stops halfway and turns over her shoulder and she goes, maybe you should listen to other comics, and you know, because that was horrible, and then turn back around and walk away. And it was kind of weird hearing my inner thoughts on the outside a little bit, because I was just telling myself how horrible I was. And then it was like, now I've been a lot more positive to myself, because every time I start talking shit to myself, I hear that lady's voice saying it to me.
I think, what that lady's pointing out, and I say this as somebody that's like, I watch a lot of comedy, and I have to be very careful for this because I've noticed in like writing sometimes, because I have like I think it's just like a military thing, like or just
You
whatever.
just got OCD kind of.
No, there's just like a forceful aspect of my personality, right? So there's this kind of aspect whenever I'm engaging with communication or something, that I can kind of really, really like kind of quiet a conversation down. I can kind of make a conversation go where I want it to go. But I've noticed this is that one of the things that's really difficult, like in my own writing, I have a lot of black comedian friends and like a lot of POC comedians, and I've written jokes for them, but I cannot do any kind of like racial humor really. And that's because of the way that I look and the way that I sound, there's no irony to it. Because when you're performing, right, you're kind of playing a character of yourself and you're playing with like the irony of it. But, and it's funny because that lady just kind of told you what it was. Like for you, you were trying to kind of ironically say those things. You were trying to say those things as a joke. But in her mind, the way she heard the performance, she was like, oh, you were just saying that thing, like unironically, you were just supporting that thing. And that's like the hard part about comedy, especially whenever you do like touchy subjects. And I think that that's the cultural malaise of it. Like that's the part about comedy that's a nightmare. I love comedy, but it is something that you are destined to become bad at if you're good at. Because you're just going to get old one day, and then you're going to make bad calls, and you're going to be crotchety and old. Like it has a shelf life. And one day you're going to say the thing that you meant to mean ironically or goofy, and culture's just going to have moved so far beyond you that the only way people ever say that in conversation is because they're like a Nazi or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that's like, it's funny to hear that because that is something that happens a lot of times. I think that that's like the weird, like the pendulum swing, because in 2019 to 2021,
it was swung really far one way.
Yeah, well, that was when woke was a little exhausting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was when there was a lot of like performative and competitive virtuousness. It's not the performative virtuousness that's bad. All virtue is a little performative. It was the competitiveness of the virtue that was kind of hard to deal with because you couldn't. Yeah, you were dealing with people that were trying to compete. And now it's kind of gone the other way. And I was in Austin with Olivia. Probably earlier. No, about last year. And I noticed this comic that went out, and he was like bombing. And it was funny because it was such a conservative crowd, and it was like, and you people are all liberals. It was just so funny.
But they're not.
No, they weren't at all. He was just a bad comic. It was hilarious.
He came from probably a big city and thought he was going to do that shit in Austin.
I love Austin, but it was a harrowing experience.
I learned a lot going out there. Just like
probably the wrong lessons. Don't listen to anybody in Austin.
Oh no, I'm talking about like they don't have any at their mics, like audience-wise. Like most of them are
it's just
empty.
all gimmick.
And like, and you can. It's easy to tell because they have a lot of comics that insult the crowd and just like don't let up kind of thing. And you ain't gonna keep a crowd whenever you have guys going up there. Like as soon as you get crowd members, you're sitting there like, oh, you're dumb. You look at that stupid dress. Look at that thing. Like trying to make jokes about them, and like if you don't do something that redeems them or at least lowers yourself a little bit,
it's kind of awful.
It's kind of awful, and people will be like, "Oh, but they laughed." How many times have you laughed at something just until you can get away from it? You know?
Exactly. Well, so
that's like my number one fucking go-to move, actually.
Well, so that's funny that you said that because Austin's really like, we're small town comics, so like part of us is that we kind of. Not really a job, really. It's just part that comes with the territory is that we're dealing with like community, right? Like we see these comics on a daily basis, pretty much, or a weekly basis, monthly. They're part of our community. We see them, right? So like Austin's really funny. The reason why guys are doing that, and I would bet you money on that, is because one, you always have to calculate for bad taste. And so bad taste really means that somebody's like 2 years off mark, right? And 2 years ago, what was really popular? It was Matt Rife, right? So you got these people who are too stupid to realize that like things had moved on.
Yeah.
Because post-COVID, this is what I noticed as a comic. Crowd work was such a huge thing, 2021 to 2023, because people were getting reacclimated to going outside. So they wanted insult humor, they wanted that crowd work, but it was kind of a safe way to engage. Remember the first year after COVID where people were kind of like awkward and stuff?
Yeah.
So now you're in Austin in 2025 and it's these people who are bad and they don't realize that they're bad.
Yeah. But even Matt Rife, when he's joking with his audience, he's not insulting them and like, bringing them down. You get what I'm saying? And they're trying to do crowd work the mean way.
You stupid whore! You're like a dumb person.
You got your tits out, fucking whore. You know, like they'll say shit like that. You know.
Oh God, it was such a desperate town too. There were so many people I was clearly talking to. I was like, you are not getting laid. You know what I mean? Like I was just like,
I don't know about that, but it feels like you're talking to an informant. Anyone you're talking to, it feels like you're talking to someone who's like recording everything you're saying.
Oh yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like I feel like they're like taking such mental notes about you or something, you know?
Well, I think everybody there was like looking for content, and they were like looking to blow up. And I remember I was talking to these guys that had been on Kill Tony numerous times, and this is a weird thing. I'm gonna be, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna be mean. If you've been on Kill Tony 3 times and you haven't blown up, quit. Like, don't do comedy. Like, don't count that as a credit. Like, you had 3 chances on the world's biggest stage to be a comedian, and you sucked all 3 times. Like, that's a sign from God. You know, I know a guy who moved to Austin. Like, he's a comic, bad comic, obviously. But I'd done shows with him years ago. And he was like, I bombed twice on Kill Tony, and I'm moving to Austin to redeem myself. And I was like, that's God trying to talk to you. But there's a lot of really good, I will say this, there's a lot of really good comics in Austin that are like part of the offbeat scene. Like, I'm a huge fan of Ariel Isaac Norman. I love Ariel. I've done a couple of shows with her. And then my buddy Chris, he's Chris Overalls on Instagram. I've done like a bunch of shows with him in Tallahassee, and I've hung out with him a bunch. But he's that guy that like talks about being the fat autistic tranny chaser is what he calls himself.
Okay.
But he's actually a very talented comedian.
Maybe we can get him out here.
Yeah. If you actually want me to, I can get a hold of him, get some shows set up for him.
Yeah, and you said he was on Kill Tony or something?
Yeah, he's been on Kill Tony. He's
I know it's silly, but for around here, a tag like that is good. And if we're bringing, but we have to be good. I hate to say shepherds or shepherds of our comedy, and make sure the people we get here are good. You know.
Listen. I know that this is mostly just comics that listen to this.
This is a Pensacola comedy.
Yeah, this is just Pensacola. All the bookers I know, like every booker I know, they do not give a shit about Kill Tony anymore. Like, genuinely speaking, unless
I know like bookers, but when we're in a tourist town, and they see something like that, they're like, okay, this is something worth looking at.
Locally.
Over a guy that they have no clue who the fuck is. At least this guy they don't know who is, has been on Kill Tony.
Yeah. They're like, oh, Kill Tony. Yeah, that is true. Like, obviously, but like for bookers, it's so funny when people talk about. Anyway.
Yeah, but I'm definitely looking at the set you did, and then I'm going to look at the rest of your YouTube. I'm not just being like, oh, you were on Kill Tony, cool, I'm getting you here. Now I'm like, okay, let me look at your Instagram, your fucking. Do you actually share flyers? Are you like a good promoter of yourself kind of thing? Like,
oh God,
if someone doesn't do that, it's like it's hard for me to want to book somebody, because if I'm like posting a flyer and sharing a flyer, and I'm trying to get you out here, and you have no credits, and you're not trying to also get people out here, I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of people out here who also don't have credits, but they get people out here at least.
Well, I gotta
like at least sharing flyers and doing
I gotta be
Yeah.
honest, like I hate to admit this, but you have to. Like that's my biggest problem right now from a work standpoint. As I do more comedy, I've been really very fortunate to spend a lot of time, like, writing comes naturally to me because it's just how I like process like a lot of my emotional workload. So like whatever's going on in my life, I'm always writing. And as far as performance goes, whenever I'm bored, I'm always practicing performance. Like I'm one of those types of people, like whenever I read a book, usually daily, I'm reading a book out loud to do like diction exercises. That's like a huge thing. A lot of people don't understand that. Like for comedy, literally do like unique New York, ow, round now, cow, wow, boo, 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 boo. You know what I mean? Like do shit like that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you know, like addiction exercises. My cousin Sally sells seashells by the seashore.
Oh, like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. My cousin
Like
Sally
speech
sells.
therapy shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because if you're upstage, right? Like, I don't know. You've seen me when I've done really fast comedy, right? Something really crucial and integral for being able to do that really quick engagement style comedy and to really get a crowd rolling, you have to be quick and concise and clear in your communication. So you actually need to practice diction exercises. That's a major thing. Like realistically, whenever somebody offers advice for comedy, because the only rule, nobody
The only
knows.
role is to be funny.
Yeah, nobody really knows anything about comedy. Like really.
That's why it's called a craft. It's not like
Yeah.
you're crafting your own brew.
Dude, I was talking to Aaron Ahall. I love Aaron Ahall.
I like
He's in
Aaron
America.
Ahall.
But I was telling him I'm sober as a bone whenever I perform. And I actually got into sobriety from stand-up because I couldn't perform drunk. Like I was bad at it. And he goes, hey, this is my first time I'm performing like sober, and it's because you told me that. And then I looked him in the eye, I was like, buddy, what if you were funny or high and drunk? Like,
Yes.
no, listen, that's for me. I didn't, like, if you're funny, high and drunk, be high and drunk. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna tell Doug Stanhope that he can't be.
You can't do Doug Stanhope, sorry. But this has been a good podcast. Now I want to ask you, new comic that you think is like under a year, because you kind of pay attention to the open mics. Is there somebody under a year besides Ross Richard that is just killing it out here? Ross is already number one in everybody's list, but
Well, I think, like, it's a hard pick. There's this, I feel like Aaron's very new and still.
Aaron Aholt,
Yeah.
he actually did it 2 years when he was 17 to like
I don't
18,
count that.
and then he just started back up again.
I don't count
But
that.
yeah, I like Aaron as well.
Well,
He was at the top of my list for new comics, actually.
Well, so here's the thing about Ross. I think Ross is a really good performer. I think his writing's a little bit new.
If you had to pick one, the other, would you pick Ross or Aaron?
I'd pick Aaron.
I picked Aaron too.
Yeah, I'd pick Aaron. Because I think Ross is a really talented comic. I actually think he's got like a lot of really natural chops on it.
Yeah.
As far as like really popping though, as somebody I'm like, oh, Aaron's like. And then I'm trying to think. There's a couple new military guys that, for me, I don't think anybody knows what they're doing until like 2 or 3 years in. And so I wouldn't even say, like, as far as, like I said, I like Aaron, I like Ross, because Ross has such a work ethic. Like, he's trying.
He's working.
But even under a year, it's rough to give anybody, like, have like an honest assessment. For me, I feel like it takes, like, I just now feel after like.
Think we should extend the list to 2 years? Be like comics under 2 years?
No, that's just my opinion.
No. You can have your opinion. This is what it's for.
Yeah, well, I think that's like, I think something post-COVID is that people push careers so much quicker. Like, I was really lucky that I started comedy in 2018, and I got like a year, like that solid 2 years pre-COVID, because there was this kind of culture of comedy being like a long-term kind of thing. And post-COVID, everything is so much more truncated and focused on this like really intense kind of like career path, right? Like it's got to be this, I kind of like the time period of it, because I think like, like for me, I would love to be like mid-tier famous. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want writing.
Just enough to pay your bills.
Oh my God. Like honestly, I'm serious. And this is like mega, mega lucky, like stars falling from the sky. But if I'm talking about like, if I ever get like enough writing credit to get like one that pays the same amount of working like a shitty job at like a Bagel Heads.
Yeah.
Or like,
Well, you could do like cruise ship though.
Yeah.
You're clean enough where I think you could make it on cruise ships.
oh yeah, I probably could.
And they make good money.
I would love to be a cruise ship comedian. I think I could.
That used to be like my kind of goal is like, oh, just do cruise ships. That's enough for me, you know.
Yeah,
like,
well, I don't want to do that much. Like, I would kill myself if that was weird. I want to write one like semi-fun book. You know what I mean? Like, I'm working on it, and I would love to be like mid-tier, like just something that like small. Like I should probably reach higher for the stars. But yeah, 2 years is probably the best idea for that. But I feel like Aaron's my favorite new comic right
all
now.
right. And now, who is your favorite comic? Doesn't have to be the best comic in Pensacola. Who's a comic in the scene where you are excited to go see? Like, you go at the open mic and you're like, oh, I know they got something that's gonna make me laugh.
Olivia, don't get mad at me, but Kirby. I love Kirby.
You
Hollett.
love Kirby
I love
Hollett.
Kirby Hollett.
The favorite comic is Kirby Hollett.
I love Kirby Hollett. Well, I think I was talking to Kirby about this a couple months ago, but Kirby's just like a really great storyteller. So he's kind of comes from this lineage that like culturally I'm like a South Georgia redneck, right? So like there's just this lineage of like the old country guy storyteller, and Kirby just kind of falls into
Yeah,
that.
he does, doesn't he? Yes.
Yeah, he's just straight up an old school.
He sounds like a guy like at a bonfire telling a funny story kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know, like he could be around a fire. Here's this story. All right? And then everybody's fucking dying at the fucking bonfire. You know?
No, it really is, and I'm always excited to see Kirby on that standpoint because I think of the best comics probably Olivia, right? And then I really love watching Delicia. Delicia's always great, but as far as just like a comic I just love to watch, it's got to be Kirby.
Yeah.
You know, because he's just every time I watch him, I know that he's not doing a performed set. He's telling a story. And something that's really wonderful about watching Kirby from like a learning experience, in my opinion, is that you really start to understand that tempo of storytelling. And that's like such a really, really important skill. That's what I always try to
Kind of know when the punchline's coming. You know it's coming, but you're still excited for it.
Oh, well, so there's like this, you know, when I, like the flow state from like Soul, whenever I really like an audience and I really am feeling the flow of it, there's kind of this, this tempo and this rhythm to an audience that's unique to each audience. That's why you do your like opener joke.
And once you can feel it, it's crazy, dude. When I was at Vinyl, when I did that set at Vinyl, I got into a rhythm, and like if you could feel the waves of fucking laughter and energy, because it was like 250 people in there, so like it was weird. Like you could really like pa-pow, pa-da, and it was just like I don't know. It's an energy that is so perfectly in my head, like I can see it so clearly. It was such a cool moment.
Yeah, that's why I like watching Kirby, because as a storyteller, you kind of see him do it in a very clear and concise way.
Yeah.
You know? And any other questions?
No, this has been a good show. This has been Dallas James Nelson. We're going to come back, not with him, but someone else, hopefully again with Dallas at some point, but we're going to... whoever wins the roast, we're going to talk about the next roast and see who's going to win it.
Ooh.
This has been Lamar's Not Funny with guest Dallas James Nelson. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, follow me on TikTok. I'm Gay White Trash 1.